What's up with it? It's Cornelius Cole with the Diehardfan show. Yeah, the people's coach in the building. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Want to say thanks to Sports for America for putting me on. Um, and I want to jump right in today. And let's just talk sports. The next hour, we'll talk a few sports. So issues, as a diehard fan, I'm gonna come out the gate with the CFP, the polls. Once again, the TCU Horned Frogs are bucking the trend and they hanging in there. And I'm one of those that are rooting for them to make it all the way. And I wouldn't mind. I know we're gonna get one SEC team for sure, but I don't want to see two. And the thing I want to talk about is how these SEC teams seem to just keep popping up. It's like a 9-2 LSU team is right there on the cusp. If two major games coming up this weekend. One, the Michigan Ohio State game. The loser of that game probably is not going to make it to the Final Four of football. They're not going to make it to the playoff. Um, Two, if TCU slips in the next couple of weeks, they have Baylor, then they have the Big 12 championship game. So this game against Baylor is very important for TCU to keep that streak going. I'm rooting for the underdog because I want to see something different. I've went on record as saying that it's time for a change. It's time for us to see different teams. For once, no Alabama. That may be a shock to a lot of Alabama fans, and I'm not a hater because I like what Nick Saban does, and I've admitted that. But it's time to see something different. So that these other guys make it to the big stage, especially schools that come out of nowhere like TCU. Um, Hopefully they hang in there. Hopefully they do what they need to do to make it complete the mission. Two more games, easier said than done though, especially after that close game they just had last week where they kicked a game-winning field goal. It was a lot of close games. Michigan had a close call where they ended up kicking a last-second field goal to win that game. Um, but in the Michigan Ohio State game, I'm hearing that some injuries may play the game. If Corum can't play, then it might be a little different. Hopefully he can go. I think he's the Heisman Trophy front runner in my mind, even though I know they lean heavily toward quarterbacks. Don't know why that is, but pros and on the collegiate level, they lean toward backs for Heisman trophies winners a lot of times. But I think Corum has a good shot if he keeps dragging the Michigan Wolverines with him and he's healthy and able to play. Hooker's hopes of Heisman Trophy are over, not just for the beatdown that they took, but the injury. I think that also got him. Bo Nix might be in the mix, but I don't see him making it. But anyway, back to my original point of the CFP. We always knew it was kind of rigged or kind of leaned toward the SEC, so it'll be good just to see Georgia. Whether Georgia wins or loses the SEC championship game, I think they're pretty going to be in. It's LSU with two losses, and one of those losses was in Tennessee, like a beat down, and the other one was to Florida State. Yeah, I don't think just because you beat the top dogs yeah, that gives you kudos, but you still got two losses. There's lost team one, and that makes a difference. They have UCLA, I think, coming again, and then the Pac-12 championship game after that. So there's some things to watch. It's really heating up, and watching the prospects going into the pros. Quarterback field is going to be heavy. I wonder, CJ Stroud. I wonder if he's coming out because the good chance of being a first round pick, a high first round pick in my mind. The guy is unbelievable. If you haven't seen him play, you should watch Ohio State. It's some pretty good players on the college level, but really and truly, it all comes down for me when the season's over, what guys decide to do. Not too many really choose to do out early, but you got the quarterback for Georgia. He's like a 6-year senior. Stetson Bennett. He's like a 6-year senior. So he should be competition. Same thing with Hooker though. Hooker's like, 24 years old, 25 or something like that. Like these guys are not as young as the other peers, so to speak. So that may be a little bit different. That may make the difference in how they play and how they game. But Bryce Young is real good, of course. We saw the struggles of Alabama, but I still think so really and truly, whoever's on these committees that do selections, fairness hasn't always been a thing. It's always about these strength of schedules. It's all about this stuff. That's why Michigan will probably, if Michigan loses their state, they won't make it because exciting. I want to see some excitement in the games. But we've seen it when Notre Dame up to the challenge. Yeah, the challenge of the SEC teams or Ohio State team, but we expand the field. They better for everyone. When they expand the field, it'll probably make it better for everyone. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that interruption. I'm bringing you this show, as you can see, from another hotel room out here. I'm in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. And to finish up what I was saying, I'm hoping that we get to see the best matchups only. the great. So when they expand the field, I don't want them to expand it too much. I've heard rumors of 8 to 12. I mean, 12 would be too many. Maybe 8 would be enough. Maybe even 6 would be enough. Give somebody about a week or something. Set it up like a pro format or something. But I'm really looking for exciting college football where every team is bringing it. Um, Go TCU, rooting for the underdog just to make it. Um, that would be special. Now, to transition a little bit, NCAA basketball is on it. I haven't really got geared up to watch it yet. I'm also a fan of that. Seeing whatever's going on, but seeing some of the top players, Maui Invitationals and all those things. It's an exciting time for sports fans right now. The World Cup is going on over in Qatar. I don't know why they picked Qatar, if they're haggling over beer sales and things like that, and who you can love and who you can't love and stuff. I mean, they picked a bad place, and I think it was all about money. But I'm not here to speculate. I just want to say that USA, man, we got to pick it up. I mean, we tying against Wales. We tying against teams that a team that ain't even been there that long. I mean, is soccer not something that we care about here in the States, that we could send our best representatives? Or do we have our best representative? If that's the best we got, then we need to go back to the drawing board, in my mind, and find some of the creme de la creme, because these other countries are bringing it, and if we want to compete, we got to find the best. Find the best. That's what I would say to the U.S. For U.S. soccer, as far as competing in world competitions, we always want to be represented the best. We haven't always been the best. From what I've seen, we like over, for our last 10 or something, 5 losses and 5 ties. It's like, why even go if we're not going to represent the U.S. right? USA, USA. Let's go. Let's get it. All right. Things that I really want to talk about. Jump right into this NBA real quick, man. Patrick Beverly, another cheap shot in the back of somebody, man. Another push somebody in the back. Remember when he did that to Chris Paul a couple of years ago? Now he do the same thing to DeAndre Ayton. And I know Aiden flopped a little bit with the fall and all that, but at the same time, it's like, Pat Beverly, why would you have to do something like that? Those things really bug me sometimes, as far as a person's mindset, to always cheap shot somebody and not face it head on. I mean, Aiden has the size advantage, but yeah, still, and Patrick Beverly will say that he was defending his teammate, or said he was defending his teammate, which he was, no doubt about it. But to be an enforcer, you got to bring that, like the Rick Mahorns of the old days, the Lambeers, the John Sallys and stuff. Get in your face, the Kevin McHale's and stuff. Bring it to your face. Remember Kevin McHale throw them things at you. You know, protecting Larry, man. Larry would throw them things too. I was just saying, nowadays it's a bunch of cheap shots and catching them from behind, sucker punches in practice and stuff like that. Like, it's a little different now. It ain't that, Charles Oakley and those guys brought it to your face, man. It's like, yo, Patrick Beverly, if you want to defend your teammate, do a head up, boss. I'm saying, I'm not condoning violence by any means, but I'm saying, if you want to do that, like the cheap shot, and like I said, at Aiden, you're too big to be flopping like that. Like, you that down hard. Excuse my language, but he ain't push you that hard when you falling all over the place. And get it together. Get your stuff together, man. That's all I can say to both of them, and also Devin Booker with the stand over this guy. All that stuff played into what happened. But, who is this Reeves guy that they both felt the need that they have to prove something to him or stand over him? I bet you they won't do that to LeBron or AD or nobody, nobody like that. Like, I should tell Aiden, pick your matchups, get somebody your size, do it that way. But basketball, man, Ben Simmons, he got to play in Philadelphia. Well, they booed him a little bit, but I was watching a little bit of First Take this morning, and I was hearing Stephen A's opinion on the whole Nets losing to the 76ers without Harden, um, Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey. And he was saying it's the worst loss. I think they worst loss for me. That worst loss was giving up 150 something points, man. Like, are we really thinking the Nets are turning the corner? They playing a little bit better under Jack Vaughn. They playing a little bit better. Um, Kyrie's back. Maybe it takes him a moment to get acclimated back into the team, but Kyrie has never been known as a he did defend Steph Curry great in the 2016 finals. He played, but he didn't stop Steph, but he guarded him as best as he could. But he's not known as a defensive stopper. That's the problem with the Nets. They got like one guy that can play defense. That's Ben Simmons. Nobody else on that team is really known for defense. So unless team defense is going to have to be the thing. I think Jack Vaughn still has to implement some things that's going to make them work and make them go. Right now, if you're looking for a good game, which I'm hoping it's going to be a good game. Excuse me, but you have the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics playing right now. Great game. You got Luka Doncic on one side, and you got Tatum and Brown on the other side, so it should be a good game. It's going to be exciting to watch. I know that it's going to be some points put up, but the Mavericks are only 9-7. I know we keep saying it's early, but it's going to get later and later. The Western Conference is turning out not to be what we all thought it was going to be, with these guys not playing. Tonight's late game on the ESPN is supposed to be the Clippers and the Warriors, and Kawhi and Paul George are not playing. I mean, who knows who's going to suit up for the Warriors? The Warriors sit their players down whenever they feel. Man, the NBA, I was giving y'all props that everybody was coming in pretty much healthy. I get it, injuries and stuff happen, but these coaches with the load management and stuff, man, y'all stopping some great basketball for potentially being played and putting on a show for the fans. What about us? I go back to that again. What about us, the fans that want to see the best products? It's like they don't care. They don't care. You paid your money for the tickets, sold out arena. So what? You ain't gonna get to see Steph Curry. So what? You ain't gonna get to see Kawhi. So what? You ain't gonna get to see the best play. For reasons other than injuries, and that sucks. That sucks on the game. Things I thought things were getting better, but apparently it's just right back to where it started. And there's nothing you can tell these teams in order to make it see how important it is to the fans, unless the fans just stop showing up, stop selling out the arenas, and watch how quickly that stuff changes. I mean, I don't care if it's back-to-backs and things like that. Then limit the minutes instead of taking the fans, completely, putting the fans in a position of, man, do I really want to see these scrubs play? Why not limit the minutes? I mean, if you're load managing, has that ever been considered? Is it back-to-back? You don't want your players to play back-to-back, but limit the minutes. If you play 30, 40 minutes in one night, then play them 20, 25 minutes. What's going to hurt? Play them half the game, 24 minutes. Something, give the people what they came for. I mean, basketball has to be the only sport that doesn't get that and doesn't really care about the people. It kind of takes my interest away as a fan. Like I said, I'm glad that these premier players out here are playing. In the game, in the first game, Dallas and Boston, I've even seen Jason Kidd start tapping into a sitting Luka on the next day of the back-to-back because he played so many minutes in the overtime victory in the game before. I mean, these guys are 22 years old, 25 years old. It's like, and they get played the dribble of basketball. They should be prepared at all times. If the schedule is back-to-back, they should be prepared for back-to-backs. They were, in the eras before them, and they don't. And this younger generation, they don't like to be compared to the eras before them. But you guys have the more sophisticated training. You have the more sophisticated diets. You guys have all the advantages that these other guys didn't have, and plus, you're making more money and don't have that pride to come out there and put on a show for the fans. I mean, that's what it's supposed to be about, entertaining. It's not entertaining watching the no-name guy get dunked on by whoever. You know, it's like it's not cool watching that on TV or in the stands. I mean, sometimes I think we get slighted. So stop slighting us and put on the shows. Basketball, I'm begging y'all, please do something different. Maybe the NBA, the next time they come to a collective bargaining agreement or something, they can put something in there that these players are gonna suit up. Get out there and play, man. If you're not hurt, if you don't have no injury, if you're not injured, get out there and play. Um, I think that's valuable. And the other thing I want to mention about the NBA is, I touched upon it a little bit last week, but the Sacramento Kings trying to bounce back, and Fox, man, this Fox guy, oof, where did he come from? First of all, second of all, who knew he could ball the way that he's balling? Like he's one of the best in the league right now. He's tearing it up in Sacramento right now. If the season was the end of the day, they would probably be in the playoffs. I mean, that's how well he's balling right now. Now we know it's a long season and things may shift, but if he keeps that up, who knows where they're going to be. I got to see the guy play, and I didn't know he was that good. I mean, just watching him ball was tremendous. It was a good thing to see him playing the way that he plays. Another guy that surprised me was this Halliburton guy over in Indiana. It's like, man, he was in Sacramento, and now he's over there in Indiana, and he's balling. Like, whoa, shout outs to the youngins coming in, doing their thing. It's more fresh faces, more people coming in, more people taking over. And I want to say this because I heard this. I heard this about a week or so ago when they were talking. They were talking the LeBron era and saying LeBron didn't have an era. I think LeBron had an era, uh, first and foremost. But what I want to talk about is from that conversation. Um, Kobe was mentioned and saying that Kobe overrode some of the LeBron's era and all this other stuff. And then it was mentioned about Kobe wasn't the best player on the first three. I'm one of those that agree with that statement right there, that Kobe was not the best player. Shaquille O'Neal was the best player on the Lakers team when they won, when they three-peated. Everybody knew it. I even heard a guy with a preposterous statement. I heard a guy with a preposterous statement. He said that you can't be the best player if your weakness is free throws. LeBron's weakness is free throws. Hello, like, so what are we saying? But the hacker shack, I feel like you the most dominant when they know your weakness is free throws, and the only way to stop you is to send you to your weakness, the hacker shack. I mean, if they gotta come up with a whole name for something for you, I think you pretty dominant. Just like they put the zone in for players like Shaq and Allen Iverson, who were harder to stop in isolation. They had to change the rules. When they changed the rules for you, I think you the most dominant. I think it is your team. I think you're the best player on that team. Now, Kobe did evolve into the best player for a certain extent. He had his time, but on those first ones, the young Kobe, nah, that was Shaquille O'Neal, bro. Um, that's my word. I'm sticking to it. It's the Diehardfan show. Remember to check out Nerd Focus. Get your brain right and your game tight. Also, check me out on the Stimulate Your Mind show, The People's Coach, Cornelius Cole, where I'll be dropping game about the championship U. That's on iHeart, Apple Music, Tuned In, Radio, etc. Um, every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Now, am I the only one that when I sit there and I watch the games, um, no matter what sport it is, am I the only one that notices how uh, commentators at times and analysts at times um, set parameters, and the parameters are different for each person? Sometimes I wonder why the parameters aren't the same all the way across the board. Um, I bring that up because I'm about to jump into um, this NFL, and I'm saying that because they're saying that Aaron Rodgers is having his worst, one of the worst seasons of his career because he's thrown 7 interceptions, 19 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. They said the same thing about Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady has about 12 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, but Tom should probably have way more interceptions than that. For those that have followed the Bucks, man, a lot of a lot of players could have got the GOAT, could have had an interception on the GOAT, and they just dropped him because he threw it right in their hands. But or their hands was right on the ball. But my point is the different parameters for the same, like in my mind, let's take basketball first. In my mind, Giannis is the best player in the NBA. Have made no secret about that. I think he's the best player in the NBA. Joel Embiid had a MVP type season last year. Putting up the numbers, doing all this. But this is where I say it's different. Well, and Joel Embiid's team is struggling right now. They barely above 500. Now, granted, he was injured a few games, but he's always injured. And no doubt he'll probably have some lingering injury or lagging injury when it comes down to playoff times. It's just his MO. Um, but I say that they played last week, and the two teams played last week, and Joel Embiid got the best of Giannis for once in a regular season game. But I don't see him doing that in a 7-game series. I just think Giannis is just better. And I think he's more durable. And I think Joel Embiid, I don't think he's serious enough. And what I mean by that is Joel Embiid comes out to impress the people. Giannis goes out there and does what he loves. He plays hard. He just has this gear. Joel Embiid is definitely trying to appease those. He's trying to appease people, the critics and all that stuff that say, oh, he's a clown. They say, oh, he's not serious. He goes out there and, but he still flops. He does a lot of different things that you wouldn't catch Giannis doing. And I think those are the differences to me. But somehow people have Joel Embiid in the same category as Giannis. I think Giannis is on a tier above. Now back to the NFL. As I get ready to jump into the NFL, I bring this up. The Rodgers, Brady. Look at what Mahomes is doing. Mahomes has 7 interceptions, but he has 28 touchdowns. So he's having a great season despite the 7 interceptions. But for Rodgers, who normally throws 2, 3, maybe 4 interceptions max a season, 7 interceptions is a little high. But he has 19 touchdowns with no receivers to throw to. Kind of crazy, but this, 5 or 6 or whatever over the last couple of weeks with this Christian Watson. Which is another thing. I think teams are going to catch on to the Christian Watson as far as he's been underestimated. The Cowboys underestimated him. He's definitely defenses. Guy's been on the injured list, or guy hasn't played much because he's been hurt on the sideline mostly, and then he comes in, and then you don't realize that he has that kind of speed or whatever. So and he has been dropping balls, and now that he's catching and now that he's holding on to a few, is making a difference. But I think Christian Watson is going to be something to watch in time to come. But back to the quarterback stats. The stats for quarterbacks are different for everybody because I look at the Brady numbers, I look at the Rodgers numbers, and yeah, they not where they are, but it's like league standard right now. It's like it's right in the middle. You look at they saying Josh Allen. They were saying Josh Allen is having an MVP type season, and he's got like 10, 11 interceptions. How's that MVP type? I mean, I don't understand. I think the parameters are not fair all the way across the board. I mean, we've been so spoiled by the Brady's and the Rodgers and even the Patrick Mahomes that that sometimes when they do what they do is not up to snuff, but it's actually better than a lot of things that's going on. I mean, Tom Brady doesn't have 20 touchdowns, but he got 12 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions. I mean, I think that's better than a lot of people. Geno Smith is balling a little bit, but what he has 4 or 5 interceptions, 6 interceptions or something like that on the year. He's doing his thing. But the way that we view quarterbacks and stuff, it's all about their bodies of work. Sometimes if you've had careers like Brady and Rodgers, But I look at it like like the Joe Burrows coming in, 22 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I mean, he got his 8 interceptions. Remember, keep in mind, Rodgers had 7, but that's not good enough. But what's good enough? Um, the Jared Goff at 15-7, Derek Carr at 15-5. Um, those things happen. Even on the sorry Raiders. So what I look at is, they're saying um, Jalen Hurts is having a decent season, and he's got 15 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. You know, um, but Jalen Hurts is not throwing the ball all that much. The Eagles are definitely running the ball as much as possible. Um, I don't know if this is going to come back to bite them. That's another thing I want to talk about. Like these teams that are running the ball so great right now. In playoff time, it may come back to bite you if you get down early, or if there's some mistakes on your side, some fumbles, or the game gets carried away. Can you pass the ball the whole game? I mean, can you pass the ball to catch up? Uh, those are the things that are going to test teams. And as a Cowboy fan, since we are talking football, let's talk Dak. Um, Dak has a lot to prove. This one game against Minnesota, like he showed that he can still run a little bit, but in my eyes, he's still a little timid when he runs the ball, which is another thing I want to talk about. The running quarterbacks, the Justin Fields, the Lamar Jacksons. Uh, the list goes on and on. Josh Allen, he runs when he has to, but he got a cannon. He can throw it also. Patrick Mahomes does a little bit of running, but he could throw. He scrambles a lot and then makes these tremendous plays. Um, some refer to it as backyard ball, but I think it's really great for the game. We've always had the scrambling quarterbacks, the quarterbacks that can run a little bit, from the Steve Youngs to the John Elways to, you know, the Kenny Stablers. It's just been so many. Even Joe Montana was great moving within the pocket. Um, you had the Randall Cunninghams that would break and run. Uh, so I think, but what you're seeing is more and more RPOs run by teams, giving the quarterback that option to keep it and go. And just how fast are these guys? I mean, I think the speed is the difference between the predecessors up until now. Randall Cunningham had a little speed and he was fast, but overall, Vic changed the game a little bit in his era. He was the fastest thing that you would ever see. Now you got Lamar Jackson and Justin Fields, man. The speed is unbelievable. You got so many more where the speed is unbelievable. And defenses are faster now, but in order to keep pace with these quarterbacks when they break and run, it's a little bit different when they get a jump on you. So, I think traditionalists are hating the game right now. I've heard a lot of people complain, "Oh, that's not really football," because they're just running it. Yeah, they are going back to the Pop Warner days and giving them the options. It's not the NFL, the traditional NFL stand in the pocket throw. And I think the pocket passes are, the pocket passes are getting played out. That's why, regardless of how long he wants to play, that's why I think time's running out on Tom Brady. It's like, hey man, you can't run like the rest of these guys, and you're going to need to run at some point. Can't just stand back there and be a sitting target or just fall down in crucial moments of games. Whereas you could tuck it and gain that. You have to throw it and force it if the game is on the line. Whereas this guy can get it with his legs. So yeah, I think that's gonna make. I think that's what's gonna push Brady out before he's ready to go out. Is the changing of the guard at the quarterback position. Russell Wilson should get back to running a little bit more, maybe. Um, how poorly Russell Wilson has been this year, it doesn't even make sense. Um, is it just Russell Wilson or is it coaching? I think it's a combination for me, but I think also, I don't think Russell Wilson was actually prepared to be around that less of a talented team. I think he thought he was stepping up from the talent that was in Seattle to what he has compared to what was in the Broncos. And I think a lot of times you fall into that, listening to the analysts. Oh, they got some great young pieces. What are those young pieces at? Because that offense sucks. That offense just sucks. Whether Wilson is reading wrong, I don't know. All I know is that when I see a Denver Broncos game, that offense sucks. Yeah, they suck. They suck so much they ended up losing a game to the Raiders. Um, who loses to the Raiders these days? Who's losing to the Las Vegas Raiders? 3 teams have lost to the Las Vegas Raiders, but but my point being, Yeah. That was a pitiful game this past weekend. Also, from the past weekend's games, I think one of the biggest things I saw, um, besides my Cowboys, 40-3 smashing D coming out playing uh Kirk Cousins. I told y'all that, man. I told y'all, if you listen to me, Kirk Cousins makes some mistakes. Yeah, Kirk Cousins makes mistakes. Um, quite a few mistakes, big mistakes. When the games, when in big games, the games where it feels like they should win, and everybody's saying that Minnesota's fool's gold, but no, I think if you win, you win. They're still 8-2. They got a pretty decent record. They are going to make the playoffs. Somebody's going to have to go to Minnesota. But I hope Kirk Cousins, like I said, he's found that mental toughness now where he can. But what happened to them? They just got destroyed offensively and defensively. They went out there and they laid an egg. I've seen that before from the Vikings a few years ago when they went up to Philly in the NFC Championship game and basically did the same thing. Um, got crushed. Everybody was so hyped. I was living in Minnesota, so everybody was so hyped. Oh, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. And it was like they went up there and laid an egg. Um, yeah, they went up there and they didn't have anything on it. It's just something that you go through every now and then, but it's a regular season. It's one loss. Maybe they'll bounce back stronger tomorrow. Um, and I want to roll into this whole um, NFL is definitely outshining this year of all the sports. The reason why I love football so much is because the product that they put on. These games have been the bulk of the games have been highly entertaining. There's been a few blowouts, but most games have been entertaining. If you weren't entertained um, by that Sunday night game, the Chargers Chiefs, then what is it, man? That Patrick Mahomes is electric to watch. Um, but I'll say it again, Justin Herbert and the Chargers. I mean, when are they going to get over the hump? When are they going to do something? It's time to get a new coach. Coach. Get a coach for the Chargers, man. Poor decision making by the coaches on that. You can't go out there and play for your players, but you can try to make it easier for them. Situational football is just not high on their list of priorities, evidently, for the Chargers. And I'm gonna leave that at that. But back to this Mahomes thing, man. Like early on when Mahomes won his first Super Bowl, I was going for the San Francisco 49ers. I thought that defense was Trump, and I was pretty much right. I thought that the Chiefs defense couldn't match up as far as like they couldn't stop the run, and they couldn't stop the run. You know, but Garoppolo and Shanahan, well, Shanahan got greedy and Garoppolo didn't deliver the mission when, they could have ran the ball. They had two downs that they could have ran the ball for 3 yards and they chose to throw a pass deep downfield and then they punted and gave the ball back to Patrick Mahomes. And then the legend was made. The legend was made because he throws that long pass up there, defense like can cover three out of position or whatever. And then boom, Tyree Hill catches that deep ball downfield, and that was all she wrote. Gave him a chance when Patrick Mahomes really didn't play that great. He hasn't played that great in the two Super Bowls that he's played in, but into the games leading up to the Super Bowls and throughout the season, man, this guy is something special to watch, and he's doing it, great. And to think about, we talking all this noise. Like Tyreek Hill possibly might set a record this year, might get 2,000 yards receiving, but he doesn't have really many touchdowns on it. He got like 4 touchdowns on the year. Not really putting the ball in the end zone, so it's a whole lot of yards. And that's the thing I want to talk about: yardage in the football game, the running. Everybody's screaming, "Oh, Dallas can't stop the run the ball right at him, do this, that." You know what? Bill Belichick used to prefer that you run the ball. I mean, in his heyday when he was that Super Bowl mastermind, it was bend but don't break, because running the ball is not scoring touchdowns. It may move the chains here and there, but guess what? The defense will get a stop here and there at crucial points in the game as well. The stops are made, you know. So it's like, yeah, we'll take our chances against teams that want to come in and run the ball. If I'm the Dallas Cowboys, that's the way I look at it. At some point, you're going to have to pass, but run the ball. Yeah, run it, because it doesn't get you in the end zone. Running the ball didn't get the Packers in the end zone. Remember that. When the Packers beat the Cowboys a couple of weeks ago, the running the ball did not get them in the end zone. They were still losing 28-14. Now the defense went to sleep. However, the running the ball didn't do anything. Everybody's like, oh, they ran all over them because they ran for 200 yards. You're looking at the final numbers. But if you're watching the games, the teams that run the ball, look at the Jets. They run. I'm going to get into the Jets in a minute, but they run. Look at the teams that run. They're not putting up a lot of points on the scoreboard, except unless you're the Chicago Bears. This Justin Fields is doing it. He's killing it. With the things that he's doing out there, yeah, he's really putting on the show. The guy's shining. But typically, these teams that are running the ball, look at the Indianapolis Colts, a run team. Look at the Titans. They're not putting up points. They're not putting points on the board. So when they have to score, can they score? Can you score? I mean, even look at the Eagles games. They not, the Eagles are not. They're putting up points here and there, but they're not putting up. If the defense didn't make the other team turn the ball over, the Eagles wouldn't score as many points as they have because they're not putting the ball, they're not putting the ball in the end zone with the running the ball. So, yeah, run, if that's what you want to do. If we Dallas, we like, yeah, run the ball. Run it till you're tired. You know what I'm saying? Like, run the ball. Especially if we're going to have an offense that can explode like that at any time, that can score, then I prefer you to run the ball. I'm sure a lot of teams prefer that. I mean, you play right into people's hands. I think Belichick plays that mind game. He's one of the best. I always mention him because he's a defensive mastermind. Todd Bowles, when he was doing defensive coordinator for the Bucs, he had that plan. Run the rock. We want you to run the rock. Because eventually it's going to be some losses, and then you're going to be at second and long and third and long because the runs didn't work out. And now we can play to our strengths. So it all balances out. But running the ball, it may move the chains here and there, but it doesn't put points on the board. And I don't think a lot of people looking at it like that. I don't think a lot of people looking at it I like that. They saying, oh, you run the ball, then you can run play action. You run the ball, and you can do, I get so sick of experts sometimes and these analysts sometimes with the same old narratives. It's like, that stuff works for some teams. It doesn't work against every defense. It doesn't work against teams. And then when that plan doesn't be effective and that plan blows up, because I think that's what Minnesota was trying to do against Dallas, and it didn't work out because they saw the blueprint of what the Packers had done before. But no, I think it's a difference of running. Like for the Bucs, Brady was throwing the ball 40, 50 times a game. It's like, yeah, that's not a formula for winning. I mean, so even if you run the ball and you're only gaining 2 yards to carry, that's better than not running the ball at all and having this guy keep trying to throw the ball, trying to throw that many passes in a game. You're not winning like that. So you may just want to run the ball every now and then just to at least make the defense think you're going to run it. Some teams need to try that, and other teams on the other end, I think they too run heavy. You don't have anything else. So when you fall behind in the game, you can't come back. And we saw that happen to the Colts. Even though the Colts took the Eagles to the brink, when they could have got a field goal to end the game, they so used to running, the pass defense was not there. So, Matt Ryan took a sack, and then, on 4th down, he's throwing a check down. Now, that check down, I didn't really understand. I know Matt Ryan's running for his life out there, but at the same time, that check down didn't make sense, man. You might as well should have just slung that as far as you could downfield, throw it up to anybody downfield. I don't understand. But, hey, I ain't out there playing the game. I'm just giving you what I know. I'm going to get into my picks here shortly. Before I do, another shout out to Sports for America for putting me on, and Nerd Focus. Get your brain right and your game tight. Also, I want to give a shout out to J&J Professionals. Thank you guys for supporting. Again, check me out. The Sim Show that stimulates your mind. The Sim Show, the Stimulate Your Mind show. You can catch me Tuesdays, 5:30 p.m. iHeartRadio, also Apple Music, Tuned In Radio, and as I move around again, I'm bringing you guys this show from the outskirts of Pittsburgh. Speaking of Pittsburgh, the Steelers, man, wow, it sucks to be a Steelers fan these days. First time in a long time, just taking loss after loss, beatdowns, not a good look. Teams that don't prepare when you've had a quarterback there that long. You see, now we see Pete Carroll was prepared, and we see that Mike Tomlin was not prepared to lose Ben Roethlisberger because these guys are not they're not looking that great. They're not looking that great, and I know they're going to say, "Oh, we got to bear through." We got to bear through Pickett. I think if you started Pickett from game one instead of playing around, you would be better off at this point in the season. That's just my opinion. And then Najee Harris, man. I mean, you can't put it all on him. The team just sorry right now, but I expected him to run better, and you see him run better at times, but you don't see. I just expected them to be better, but they don't have a 1-2 punch. They got a lot of work to do, and their defense is not as solid as we're used to seeing Pittsburgh Steelers defense. They still pretty good and keep them in games, but it's not that close out defense where you like, oh, the game's close. Oh, this defense is going to close it out. They're going to make a play. Probably some injuries on the defense, and Fitzpatrick ain't lived up to the bill this year. Minka Fitzpatrick has not lived up to the bill this year. A lot of hype about some of these guys. And that's how I feel about the Chargers. It was a whole lot of hype about the AFC West in general. It turns out that they're not getting it done. Um, but I already knew the Chiefs were going to be on top. So um, this week's games, of course, tomorrow's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. It's going to be some interesting games tomorrow. Three games slated, 3 NFL games slated for tomorrow. The Bills and the Lions are going to start the games out tomorrow, and I think everybody's taking the Bills in that one. I'm no different. I'm going to ride with the Bills. I'm going to say that the Lions are going to put up some points, but I think the Bills, they on a mission. The Giants and the Cowboys. Of course, I'm taking the Cowboys. Giants already a lot of excuses, so I hope the Cowboys don't fall into that whole thing where the Giants are supposedly sick. They got a lot of people that might not play. Something's going on there. A lot of injuries and all that stuff. So hopefully Dallas continues that momentum that they had in Minnesota. Patriots Vikings tomorrow. That's an interesting game, and I'm taking the Patriots, and this is why I'm taking the Patriots. Now, when I was talking quarterback stats, I didn't point out that a quarterback like Matt Jones in his third year or whatever it is, or whatever, he ain't throwing many touchdown passes. But they don't throw many touchdown passes. That's what I'm saying. The Patriots, how are they winning games? How are the Patriots and Jets winning games without throwing touchdown passes? It bewilders me. But we saw. I'll cover that in a minute, but we saw what happened. I took the Patriots I'm taking the Patriots in that game. The Texans and the Dolphins, of course, I'm going with the Dolphins in that one. That's self-explanatory. No need to elaborate on that. Now, the Titans and Bengals, that's going to be an interesting game. That's a playoff game from last year. Remember, the Titans sacked Joe Burrow like 9 times last year in that playoff game, and Joe Burrow still won. I'm going with the Titans. I don't think they're going to let that happen this time. I think they're going to sack them. They might sack them 10 times this time, except they're going to win the game this time. The Broncos and the Panthers, man, I don't know. I guess unless you just diehard fans of either the Broncos or the Panthers, you care about that one. But I'm taking the Panthers in that one. And I don't like neither team, but I'm going to take the Panthers in that one. I'm taking the Panthers. I'm going to give Baker Mayfield or whoever's the starting quarterback, Sam Darnold or whoever's going to be the starter for, PJ Walker. I think he has a high ankle sprain, so we know it's probably not going to be him. But I'm taking the Panthers in that one. The Bears and the Jets. In that game, I'm taking the Bears. I think, like I said, I'm becoming a Justin Fields nut over here. I'm believing in what he has going on. The Falcons and the Commanders. I'm going to take the Falcons in that game. The Commanders will probably, mark my words, the Commanders will probably win that game. But I got to go against the NFC East teams, so I'm taking the Falcons in that one. I need the Commanders to lose anyway, because they gaining ground over there, man. They for real with Heineke. I like Heineke, but I need Mariota to do what he did last week and win this game. The Buccaneers and the Browns. I'm taking the Bucks in that one. Um, yeah, self-explanatory right there. I think the goat is about to right the ship over there, and the Bucks are going to take over that division, so they're going to need that win. Um, the Rams and the Chargers, man. I mean the Ravens and I mean what am I looking at? The Ravens and the Jaguars. Sorry about that. The Ravens and the Jaguars. Um, yeah. Um, Ravens are going to win that game by a mile. Now the Raiders and the Seahawks. Um, I'm going Seahawks all the way. Geno Smith, in my mind, this year is better than Derek Carr. Well, better than the Raiders. Um, Chargers and Cardinals. Now that's another game where you're like, but I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt to Justin Herbert. Since everybody wants to give Justin Herbert the throne and say he's this great and he's all this, and I haven't seen it yet because the teams haven't really done anything. Um, I'm going to think, and both of those coaches make bad decisions. I'm going to say that the Chargers make one less bad decision. Staley makes one less bad decision than Kingsbury is how I'm going to pick that game. Saints and 49ers. Now, here's one that people are going to hate me for. Who that? I'm going with the Who that Nation in that game. I'm taking the Saints. And I'm taking the Saints because I'm sick of hearing about the 49ers. All this hype around the 49ers because they now all of a sudden they so talented since they've added Christian McCaffrey, who's going to stop who, and they got a bunch of guys that do the same thing. Debo runs the ball, Debo catches the ball, McCaffrey runs the ball, catches the ball, Kittle just catches the ball, and they might give him the ball every now and then on the reverse or something. I mean, they got a bunch of guys that do the same thing. I mean, so I'm not hype on that. We'll see what they do. But I'm taking the Saints. I think the Saints will squeak out a win. Remember, that's an old school NFC West matchup right there. Remember the old school division rivals for those of my age and older. You probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But, the Saints, 49ers. Okay, so the Rams and the Chiefs. I'm going Chiefs. We know the Rams don't have anything on it, and Cooper Kupp's out for the season, it looks like, 6 to 8 weeks, which is pretty much out for the season. So let's go Chiefs in that. And Packers and Eagles. Now that's a Sunday night game. And here's the funny thing. I need the Eagles to lose so my Cowboys can be closer. I mean, I know it's a slim chance, but I'm going with the Packers. I'm going with the Packers. I'm going to say Mr. Rogers is going to be Mr. Rogers maybe one last time. Maybe shine once again or something for the season, but I'm going with the Packers. Yep, I'm taking the Packers in that game. A miracle by Aaron Rodgers. I say they win by a field goal or a point or something, but Aaron Rodgers leads a game-winning drive in Philadelphia. And the Steelers and the Colts, I don't know why that's a Monday night game. I mean, why would you put that as a Monday night game? When they make the schedules, I don't think they think about stuff like this, but that should be a flex. They should have flexed that one. They should have flexed that one and put the Packers and the Eagles where they already Sunday night. But I'm saying, what game could they have moved around? You had a Thursday night games or something. But any game would have been better than that one, right? I mean, the Buccaneers Browns would have been better than that one. The Bears Jets would have been better than that one. But those are my picks for the week. I'm going with in that game. I didn't even pick for that game, but I'm going with the Colts. I'm on this Jeff Saturday kick. I think it was a great, like I discussed last week. I thought it was a great thing to think outside the box and go get a guy that wasn't even coaching. I think that's it's been good for the locker room. It seems like the Colts are more competitive, than they were with Frank Reich. And there's a couple of things I want to talk about before the show ends. The verbal abuse that the young Zach Wilson, has taken this week for his comments and things. Man, people just get out of hand, especially former players, listening to them talk and then listening to all these different shows, talk shows. What's his name? Mad Dog Russo. Man, I laugh. I laugh at this stuff because, the guy's a young man. He misspoke. He made a mistake. He wouldn't come in my locker room unless he corrected that. I mean, it affected so much that now they benched the guy. Now you're gonna come back with Mike White. So now remember what happened to Mike White. He had hype last year, then it fizzled out, with Flacco being the backup. Here's the thing. The guy is like in his second year or something, like Justin Fields. Justin Fields doesn't have all those tremendous numbers passing the ball. It's not, he's great running the ball right now, but he doesn't have all those terrific numbers passing the ball. They don't even trust him to pass the ball half the darn time. Not only that, so Zach Wilson he got 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I don't know. But 2 yards. Here's my problem. Here's my problem with them going in on this young man. 2 yards. Get a Patriots defense some credit, but 2 yards. How do you gain just 2 yards of offense in a half of football? This is how you gain that. This is how you gain 2 yards. Poor play calling, poor execution of the plays called. It's a combination of things. So, for these guys to say that he is not accepting accountability, that it's crazy because your defense played hard, but it's the other side of that coin. The coaches ain't taking that much flack. Why is nobody saying that? That was poor coaching against the greatest mastermind. Bill Belichick will do that to you, man. It's like, it wasn't like the Patriots had an outstanding game. They won that game on a punt return. Neither team's offense did anything. But why are they on this young man's back like that? I think the media has cost that guy his job. I don't think it has anything to do. Yeah, because listening to the media, so the guys in the locker room are saying whatever. They could have worked that out. Derek Carr was up there crying, which means somebody got in his face and told him where to take it. When he was like, "Hey, I care about this," they was like, "I don't care," and what you gonna do about it? Those are how locker room situations are worked out. For those that didn't read between the lines on what was going on with Derek Carr when he said that, hey, they handled it without the coaches, that means that, hey, mano, some things was proven. Okay, same thing here in this situation. The players would have worked that out. Like, if you're going to be the starter on this team, then these things are going to happen. For real. So, for upper management or whoever to make that decision, kind of crazy. He can't do no worse than some of these other quarterbacks. Like I said, Matt Jones starting for the Patriots, and he's got 4 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Injuries those are not great numbers, and it's a lot of quarterbacks that don't have great numbers this year, but they still got these starting jobs. You know what I'm saying? Matt Ryan is 10 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. I'm just saying, he right there with with what's going on with the bulk of the league. But yeah, that was horrible though, right? To lose the game on a punt return. And here's the irony for that for me. My stepfather's name was Marcus Jones, and his birthday was 11/20. So on 11/20, Marcus Jones runs a punt return back for the New England Patriots. That's pretty dope. Rest in peace, old man. Now check it out. Before I get out of here, thanks to Sports for America for giving me this platform. It's yours truly, the people's coach, Cornelius Cole. Again, check me out on the Stimulate Your Mind show. I'll be back here next week on this platform, the Diehardfan, every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, sharing the insights and going through things as a diehard fan from only a fan's perspective. Also, to wrap this show up, I was talking, in fairness, if you take the Zach Wilson situation, what's different between him not taking accountability and for weeks Aaron Rodgers not taking accountability and putting it off on his teammates and on his coaches and all that stuff? The level of play, could that be the difference? That Aaron Rodgers has this longevity and this high level of play over this guy, because they pretty much did the same thing, not accept responsibility. And then even when Aaron Rodgers did finally say that he was playing like trash, he blamed it on his thumb. Now all of a sudden it's a thumb injury. If you're injured, then why are you in the game? So you must not be that injured, you out there. So I don't want to hear that, oh, his thumb must be hurting more than, it's always excuses for that guy. It's always something for that guy. I don't want to make this about Aaron Rodgers because I can rant on that guy for a long time. I can harp on that guy for a long time. But Zach Wilson, you got a chance to recover, bro. Go and take your locker room back. I think the true leaders will figure out a way. If he's a true leader, he'll figure out a way to take his locker room back. He'll figure out a way to be a force. He'll figure out a way to get back on the field. And these teams got to stop letting the media and all that stuff pressure them into making decisions that they didn't really want to make. You know, the head coach didn't want to make that decision. He said he was going to do what he had to do to work that out. And then all of a sudden, boom, the benching of the young man. That's my time. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope to catch y'all next week. Again, it's the People's Coach, Cornelius Cole. Sports for America. Thanks again. Diehard Fan. Check me out.